I remember very clearly when I was striving towards one of my goals, I got to a state where I'd been working for 4 to 5 months, trying really hard to get the goal that I want. And I was falling, just short. I hadn't actually hit the goal that I wanted. I was getting elements of success, but not really that. And I remember one time I was reflecting and I felt really disheartened. I was like, man, I'm working so hard and I'm not getting this goal. And it felt so painful because inside of me, I'm like, I really deserve this. I really should have been there already. I've put in so much effort. But now that I think about it and I really reflect about that moment, that pain inside of you and that anguish inside of you and that recurring thought that you get, which is, I should have been there already, that in itself, I feel like is a self-protecting mechanism where you kind of enter this victim mentality, which is, I've done everything that I could have done and life did not give me what I deserved. Life didn't give me what I was owed. And you kind of get into this dangerous frame and mentality, which is, if I do X, I get Y. Or because I've done the work that I've done, I deserve the outcome. The reality is life doesn't work that way. It's not always if you put the effort in that you get the outcome. You might have done everything that you could have done and you still wouldn't get the goal. Because the reality is life has different circumstances that you can't control. It could also be the case that you've done what you think is enough, but you haven't actually done what's enough, and therefore you've gotten exactly what you deserve based on what you've done. But it doesn't matter. That's not the point of the video. The point of the video is that you can't find out what the reality is so long as you're in that state of entitlement. You can't find out what the reality is so long as you're frustrated. And the only way to actually get an honest self-assessment is to get out of that state, is to humble yourself, is to remove that pain and anguish inside of you and accept the fact that, hey, maybe I didn't do what's enough to get the goal that I want. Maybe I'm overinflating myself. Maybe my ego is just a bit too big. And the moment you start, boiling all that down and really just sitting with genuine honesty and self-assessment with no ego, and you really ask yourself the difficult questions, then you will find out what your current situation is. Then you will find out what is required to go from where you are to where you want to be. Then you can actually look at things in a self-reflective way without taking it personally, without taking it as an attack to your ego that, oh, you haven't done this, you're not good enough, you're not da-da-da-da. Nah, man, forget that. You need to basically extract what has happened and the efforts you've done from you and your identity. It's not a reflection of you. What you've done is what you've done. But the moment you start attaching negative emotion on top of it and emotional weight on top of it, that is when it stops you from, the state required to really ask yourself the tough questions. And this is such a nuanced statement and trap to be in. I remember when I was in this state, I was in it for such a long time. I didn't even realize that I was in this entitled victim mentality. And it was only until I really sat down with myself and I reflected upon this state and this statement, I kept telling myself, and I was like, wow, like I've really been lying to myself this whole time. I've really been telling myself that I deserve to be there. And once I realized that this statement was not really serving me, regardless of whether it was true or not, I just dropped it. And the moment I dropped it, it was like this massive euphoric moment. It was almost like a heavy pressure had been lifted off my shoulders, because now I don't have this pressure that I should have been there. And it was almost like I've given myself a second chance. And I've given myself the space and the breath to really just think honestly, without my ego, without my bias, without the pain, without all of the stuff that had happened before. And one of the biggest signs to know that you're in this state is that feeling of frustration. When you start feeling agitated, when you start feeling stressed regarding the goal that you're trying to get to. And as soon as you're in that state, as soon as you're feeling those emotions, you've probably reached some sort of entitlement phase. And it's a good time to really just pause, ask yourself the hard questions, reflect with no ego, reflect with no anguish, and ask yourself. So from now on, the question is no longer, did life give you what you deserve? The question is now, are you honest enough to find out?